The warning lights flashed red across the bridge of the UES Defiance. Admiral Hyun-Woo Park stood quietly, watching the massive alien ships appear on his screens. Hundreds of them. Each one was bigger than anything humans had ever built. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Lieutenant Yoonji Nam from her station. Her voice was steady, but Hyun-Woo could hear the fear underneath. "Put it on screen," he ordered. The display showed a creature that looked like a giant lizard wearing metal armor. Its eyes were cold and yellow. When it spoke, the words came through the translation system in a harsh, mechanical voice. "I am Supreme, Commander Velthera of the Velkaran Empire. You will listen carefully, humans. Your species has been judged dangerous to galactic peace. You expand too fast. You fight too much. You cannot be trusted." Hyun-Woo said nothing. He had expected this day would come. Humans had been exploring space for only 50 years, but they had already made enemies. Velthera continued. "We offer you one choice. Surrender now. Move your people to the worlds we choose for you. Live quietly under our protection. You have 72 hours to decide." The screen went dark. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Communications Officer Jae-hyun-Oh spoke up. "Sir, Captain So-Young Kim is requesting immediate contact from the diplomatic station." "Put her through." So-Young's face appeared on a smaller screen. Behind her, Hyun-Woo could see the neutral station Kepler 7, where peace talks were supposed to happen, but So-Young looked worried. "Admiral, the aliens aren't here to negotiate. I've been watching them for 3 days. They act like they've already won. They talk about humans like we're children who need to be punished." "What do you recommend, Captain?" "Get our people out of here. Fast. These creatures have done this before. I found records of 12 other species that chose to accept their protection. None of those species exist anymore." Hyun-Woo felt his stomach drop. "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir. They don't want to negotiate. They want us to give up without a fight. Then they'll decide if we live or die." "Understood. Get your people out of there, Captain. That's an order." "Already working on it, sir." The connection ended. Hyun-Woo turned to his crew. These were good people. They had families back on Earth, children who played in parks and went to school. None of them had asked for this war. "Yoonji, get me Secretary Lee in Earth Defense Command." The main screen lit up again. This time it showed Jin-Ho Lee, a thin man with gray hair who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Behind him, Hyun-Woo could see the chaos of the command center. "Admiral, I assume you got their message?" "Yes, sir." "Captain Kim reports this isn't a real negotiation. They're testing us." Jin-Ho nodded slowly. "Dr. Min-hee Choi agrees with that assessment. She's been studying their behavior patterns. According to her analysis, the Velkarans use the same approach every time. They make impossible demands, wait for surrender, then decide what to do with the species. And if we don't surrender, then they destroy us as an example to others." Hyun-Woo looked around his bridge. His crew was listening to every word. They needed to know the truth. "What are our chances in a straight fight?" "Honestly, not good. They have better weapons, better shields, and a lot more ships. But—" Jin-Ho paused. "Dr. Choi thinks we might have some advantages they don't know about." "Such as?" "They're used to fighting species that think like them. Logical, predictable. They make plans and stick to them. But humans? We're different." Hyun-Woo understood. He had read the reports about how other species fought. They formed neat lines and followed strict rules. They treated war like a chess game. Humans treated war like survival. "Sir," said Lieutenant Nam, "we're getting priority messages from all human colonies. The aliens have ships at every major world." "Same message everywhere?" "Yes, sir. Surrender or be destroyed." Jin-Ho leaned forward on the screen. "Admiral, the President wants to know what you recommend." Hyun-Woo thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 8 years old and wanted to be a pilot like her father. He thought about all the human children who deserved to grow up free. "Tell the President that I've read our history books. Humans don't do well in cages." "Is that a no?" "To surrender?" "That's a hell no to surrender." Jin-Ho almost smiled. "I hoped you'd say that. Dr. Choi is sending you her tactical analysis. She thinks we can make this very expensive for them." "Understood. What about the other species in their empire?" "Most of them were conquered a long time ago, but some might help us if they think we can win." The screen flickered as another message came in. It was from So Young again, but she looked scared now. "Admiral, Kepler-7 is under attack." The aliens didn't wait for our answer. "They're destroying the station. We're evacuating now, but—" The connection cut to static. Hyunwoo felt anger building in his chest. The aliens had lied. They said 72 hours, but they were already attacking. "Jae-hyun, send a message to all human ships and stations. Full military alert. This is not a drill." "Yes, sir." "Yoonji, prepare a response to the alien fleet." "What should I tell them, sir?" Hyunwoo thought about all the times in human history when people had been told to surrender to a stronger enemy. Sometimes they had given up, but the best of them had fought anyway. "Tell them this. Come and take it. Sir, you heard me. Send exactly those words." As his crew worked to carry out his orders, Hyunwoo stared at the alien fleet on his screens. They thought humans would be easy. They thought humans would be scared. They were about to learn how wrong they were. On the planet below, Jin-ho was already meeting with military commanders from around the world. Dr. Min-hee Choi had spread her research across dozens of screens. Every human ship in space was moving to defensive positions. The aliens had made one big mistake. They thought negotiation meant giving humans a choice between surrender and death. But humans had always been good at finding a third option. The war was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They didn't negotiate with bullies. They fought them. Fleet Commander Zethkol studied the human response on his command screen. 4 simple words. "Come and take it." He made a sound that might have been laughter if Velkarans could laugh. "Primitive defiance," he told his officers. "They think courage can defeat superior technology." Zethkol had conquered 6 species for the Empire. Each time, the pattern was the same. The targets would fight bravely for a while, then realize they could not win. Then came surrender and peaceful integration into the Empire. Humans would be no different. "Begin the assault," he ordered. "Standard formation. Destroy their orbital defenses first, then target population centers until they surrender." 500. Velkaran warships moved toward Earth in perfect lines. Their formation looked beautiful and deadly, like a metal storm approaching the blue planet. But they were not the only ships moving. Captain So-young Kim gripped her pilot controls as her ship, the Harmony, raced away from the burning wreckage of Kepler-7. The aliens had destroyed the peaceful station without warning. Hundreds of diplomats from different species had died in the explosion. "Captain, we've got 3 alien ships following us," reported her navigator, Pilot Subin Park. "Can we outrun them?" "Not in a straight race, but—" Subin looked at her navigation charts. "There's an asteroid field ahead. If we go through it, they might not follow." "Do it!" The Harmony dove into the asteroid field at dangerous speed. Behind them, the alien ships followed but moved much more slowly. They were being careful, logical. That was their first mistake. So Young pushed her ship between asteroids that were spinning and crashing into each other. Her crew held on tight as the ship twisted and turned. It was dangerous, but So Young had been flying in asteroid fields since she was 20. She knew how to think like the rocks. The aliens tried to follow, but they were too careful, too slow. One of their ships hit an asteroid and exploded. The other 2 gave up the chase. "Subin, set course for Luna Base. We need to warn Colonel Jung." "Already on it, Captain." At Luna Base, Colonel Taemin Jung was watching the enemy fleet approach Earth. He had 300 soldiers under his command and enough weapons to hold the base for maybe 6 hours against a serious attack. But Taemin wasn't planning to just defend. "Sergeant Woo Jin, are the surprise packages ready?" "Yes, sir. All mining charges are in position. When they get close to the base, we can give them a very warm welcome." Taemin smiled. Luna Base looked like a simple military outpost. But for the past 5 years, human engineers had been hiding weapons throughout the moon's surface. The aliens would expect resistance at the base. They wouldn't expect the entire moon to fight back. "Sir, Captain Kim's ship is approaching," reported communications specialist Yeon Hee-shin. "Good. We'll need her intelligence about alien tactics. On Earth." Admiral Hyun-woo watched the enemy fleet get closer. They were coming in standard formation, just like Dr. Min-hee had predicted. The aliens fought like they thought war was a mathematical equation. "Yoonji, are our ships in position?" "Yes. Sir, all vessels are hidden and waiting for your signal." Hyunwoo had spread the human fleet throughout the solar system. Some ships hid in the rings of Saturn. Others waited in the asteroid belt or behind Jupiter's moons. A few brave crews had even hidden their ships in the sun's corona, using special shields to survive the heat. The alien formation looked impressive, but it was also predictable. Dr. Choi, how long until they reach Earth? Min-hee looked up from her computers. 6 hours, Admiral, but they'll hit Luna Base first. Perfect. Tae-min knows what to do. The alien fleet reached the moon exactly when Min-hee had calculated. Zethkol ordered 50 ships to destroy the human base, while the rest continued toward Earth. But as the alien ships approached Luna Base, the moon itself seemed to come alive. Hidden weapons fired from craters and mountain ranges. Mining charges that had been placed inside asteroids turned them into guided missiles. The surface of the moon lit up like a deadly fireworks show. 3 alien ships exploded before they realized what was happening. "What is this?" Zethkol demanded. "Our intelligence," said the humans had only basic defenses. His tactical officer, a nervous young Velkarin named Kethmar, studied the data. "Sir, they've turned the entire moon into a weapon. This is not how civilized species fight." Zethkol felt the first touch of doubt. In all his conquests, the enemy had fought with honor. They used proper formations and followed the rules of civilized warfare. But humans seemed to have no rules at all. On Luna Base, Tae-min watched his hidden weapons tear into the alien formation. "Yeon-hee, send the signal to Admiral Park. Tell him the party is starting." "Yes, sir." Throughout the solar system, human ships received the signal. They emerged from their hiding places like wolves attacking a herd. The aliens had expected to fight a proper space battle. Ship against ship, formation against formation. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by enemies who seemed to appear from nowhere. Captain Dong Hyun Shin led a squadron of destroyers out of Saturn's rings. His ships hit the alien rear guard before they could turn around. On the other side of the system, Captain Yujin Bei brought her cruiser group out of the asteroid belt. The perfect alien formation began to break apart. "This is impossible," Zethkol shouted. "How can they coordinate attacks from so many directions?" The answer was simple, though Zethkol didn't understand it yet. While alien species used rigid command structures, humans had learned to trust their individual commanders. Each human captain could make decisions without waiting for orders. It looked like chaos to the aliens, but it was actually organized chaos, which was much more dangerous. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the battle unfold. On his screens! The aliens were good fighters, but they were confused. They kept trying to reform their neat lines while humans attacked from every direction. "Dr. Choi, what's their casualty rate?" "We've destroyed 30 alien ships and damaged twice that many. Our losses are lighter than expected." "Good. Phase 2, then. Signal all ships. Hit-and-run tactics. Don't get caught in a straight fight." The order went out, and the human fleet changed tactics again. Instead of standing and fighting, they struck fast and then disappeared. They used their knowledge of the solar system to hide and ambush. The aliens had better weapons and stronger shields, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't catch. Zethkol realized his perfect conquest was turning into a nightmare. These humans didn't fight like any species he had ever faced. They were unpredictable, aggressive, and they seemed to enjoy the chaos of battle. "Sir, we've lost 60 ships," reported Kethmar. "Should we withdraw and regroup?" "No." Zethkol slammed his fist on his command chair. "We have superior numbers. We will overwhelm them with raw force." But as he gave the order to press the attack, Zethkol began to understand something that would have saved many lives if he had learned it earlier. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought like their entire species depended on victory, and that made them very dangerous indeed. Supreme Commander Velthara stared at the battle reports with growing anger. The humans had destroyed over 100 Velkaran ships and damaged many more. This was supposed to be a simple conquest, not a real war. "Send additional fleets," she ordered. "Triple our forces in the human system." Her aide, a young officer named Belkoth, hesitated. "Commander, that will leave our other territories lightly defended. The humans are just one primitive species. How much trouble can they be?" Belkoth had been studying the human tactics. Unlike his commander, he was beginning to understand how dangerous these creatures were. but he didn't dare argue with Velthara. Meanwhile, Captain Dong-hyun Shin was leading the most dangerous mission of his life. His small ship, the Striker, was approaching a massive Velcaran command vessel. The alien ship was 10 times bigger than his own. But size wasn't everything. "Hey in R. The boarding pod's ready?" he asked his weapons officer. "Ready, sir." "But are you sure about this plan? It's completely insane." "That's why it might work." Dong-hyun had volunteered for this mission after Dr. Min-hee explained what they needed. The humans were fighting well, but they needed alien technology to have any chance of winning the war. The plan was simple and crazy. Ram the alien ship, board it, and steal everything valuable. "All hands, prepare for impact," Dong-hyun announced. The Striker accelerated toward the Velcaran vessel. The aliens fired at them, but Dong-hyun flew like a madman, dodging between their weapons. At the last second, he triggered the ship's ramming system. The human ship tore through the alien hull like a bullet through armor. "Go! Go! Go!" Dong-hyun shouted. His Marines, led by Sergeant Bo-Ra Kim, poured into the alien ship. The Velcarans were tough fighters, but they had never faced humans in close combat before. Humans didn't fight fair. They used every dirty trick they could think of. Bo-Ra and her team fought their way to the ship's computer core while Dong-hyun held the bridge. The aliens were bigger and stronger, but the humans were faster and more desperate. "Computer core secured," Bo-Ra reported, "downloading everything." Back on Earth, Dr. Min-hee was working around the clock to understand the alien technology that human raids were bringing back. Her team of scientists had been given pieces of alien weapons, computers, and engines. "The energy efficiency is incredible," she told Admiral Hyun-woo during their daily briefing. "Their plasma weapons are 50% more powerful than ours, but the targeting systems are too complex. They rely on perfect conditions." Meaning, if we can create chaos in battle, their weapons become much less effective. They're designed for organized warfare, not the kind of fighting we do. What about their shields? Strong, but they have a weakness. The shield generators need constant power. If we can hit their power systems, their ships become sitting ducks. Exactly. While Min-hee worked on technology, Colonel Tae-min was proving that humans could fight on captured worlds too. 3 human colonies had been taken by the aliens, but the colonists hadn't given up. Tae-min led a mission to New Geneva, a farming world that had been conquered in the first week of the war. The aliens thought they controlled the planet, but they were wrong. "The colonists have been fighting a guerrilla war for 2 months, reported his intelligence officer, Lieutenant Kyung-ho Nam. "They're hiding in the mountains and attacking alien patrols." "Good. Let's give them some professional help." Taemin's team landed at night and made contact with the resistance. The colonists were led by a tough woman named Gang Hee, who had been a mining engineer before the war. "How many aliens are on the planet?" Taemin asked. "About 10,000. They control the cities, but they're afraid to go into the wilderness. They keep losing patrols." "Perfect. We're going to make them a lot more afraid." For the next week, Taemin taught the colonists everything he knew about fighting a superior enemy. How to make bombs from farming equipment. How to set traps that would scare aliens more than they hurt them. How to attack and disappear before the enemy could respond. The aliens on New Geneva began to panic. They had expected to control a peaceful, farming world. Instead, they were fighting an invisible enemy that struck without warning. Captain So-young Kim was fighting a different kind of war. She had been given command of 3 captured alien ships, and her mission was to attack alien supply lines. "The psychology is important," Dr. Min-hee had explained. "The aliens think in terms of hierarchy and order. If we can prove that their command structure is weak, other species might rebel." So-young and her crews, including pilots Han Sol and Ji-woo, used the captured ships to attack alien convoys. They would jump into a system, destroy a few supply ships, and broadcast messages to any aliens who might be listening. "This is Captain Kim of the Human Liberation Fleet," she would announce. "The Velcaran Empire told you they were unbeatable. But here we are, using their own ships against them. If humans can do this, what could your species do?" The messages were having an effect. Intelligence reports showed that several alien species were asking questions about the war. Some were even beginning to resist their Velcaran overlords. But the real breakthrough came when Dong-hyun successfully captured A Velcaran admiral. The alien, a proud creature named Morketh, was brought to Admiral Yunwu's flagship. The Velcaran expected to be treated as a prisoner of war according to galactic conventions. Instead, Yunwu showed him videos of destroyed human colonies. "Your empire told us this was about peace," Yunwu said. "But we found mass graves on every world you've liberated. How many species have you completely destroyed?" Morketh refused to answer at first. But when Hyunwoo showed him evidence of Velcaran genocide against 12 different species, the alien's confidence began to crack. "You don't understand," Morketh finally said. "The galaxy needs order. Species like yours are too dangerous to be left free." "Dangerous how?" "You don't follow rules. You don't respect authority. You make war like savages." Hyunwoo almost laughed. "Let me understand this. You're committing genocide to bring peace?" "It's not genocide. It's necessary management." "I see. And who decided that your species should be the managers?" Morketh had no answer for that. The interrogation was broadcast to every human ship and colony. Now everyone understood what they were really fighting. This wasn't a war for territory or resources. It was a war for the right to exist. Admiral Hyunwoo called together his senior commanders for a strategy meeting. So-young, Dong-hyun, Tae-min, and Dr. Min-hee attended by video link from their various positions. "The enemy is sending more ships," Hyunwoo told them. "We've hurt them, but they still have superior numbers." "Then we need to change the nature of the war," said Min-hee. "Stop fighting defensively. Take the fight to them." "You mean attack their territory?" "Exactly. They expect us to defend our worlds. They don't expect us to threaten theirs." Tae-min grinned. "I like it. Hit them where they live." "It's risky," warned So-young. "If we leave Earth undefended..." "Earth is already under attack," Hyunwoo pointed out. "The question is whether we die defending or die fighting." "When you put it that way," said Dong-hyun, "I'd rather die fighting." The decision was made. Humanity would take the war to the enemy. But first, they needed to find out where the enemy lived. The alien coalition was falling apart, and Supreme Commander Velthara knew it. "The Zephyrite are withdrawing their fleets," reported her intelligence officer. "They say they cannot afford to lose more of their crystal ships." Velthara made an angry hissing sound. The Zephyrite were beautiful creatures made of living crystal, but they reproduced very slowly. In their long lives, they had never faced an enemy as brutal as humans. "What about the Nexari?" "The hive minds are confused. Commander, they say human tactics are causing system errors in their collective consciousness. 3 of their hive ships have gone completely silent. This was a disaster. The Nexari were supposed to be perfect logical fighters. Their hive minds could coordinate thousands of ships at once. But they were having breakdowns trying to understand human chaos warfare." Velthara stared at the tactical display. Red markers showed human raids throughout Velcaran space. The primitive species was attacking everywhere at once, like a virus spreading through the Empire. Meanwhile, Dr. Min-hee Choi was making a breakthrough that would change the war. "Admiral, I've found it," she announced to Hyunwoo over the communication. "Link." "Found what?" "The location of the Velcaran homeworld. It's called Velcaran Prime, and it's only lightly defended." "How is that possible?" "Arrogance," Min-hee said simply. "They've never been attacked at home. Their homeworld has basic defenses, but nothing like what they use to guard their military bases." Hyunwoo felt his heart racing. "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? A direct attack on their capital?" "Yes, sir. It would be the most dangerous mission in human history, but it might end the war. How many ships would we need?" "Every ship we have, and we'd have to use a hyperspace route that they consider impossible to navigate." "Why impossible?" "Gravity storms. The route goes through a region where 3 star systems collapsed into black holes. The gravitational fields are constantly shifting. One mistake, and our ships get torn apart." Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "But humans can do it?" "I think so. Our pilots are trained for atmospheric flight in bad weather. They're used to dealing with constantly changing conditions. Alien pilots prefer stable, predictable routes. I'll need to discuss this with Secretary Lee. But before Hyunwoo could call Earth, Captain Yoo-jin Bae contacted him with urgent news. "Admiral, I've discovered something important. We're not the only species fighting the Velcarans." Yujin's stealth ship, the Shadow, had been deep in alien territory for 3 weeks. Her mission was intelligence gathering, but she had found something unexpected. There are rebellions starting on at least 6 worlds, Yujin reported. Species that were conquered years ago are remembering how to fight. What changed? Us, sir. When word spread that humans were winning battles against the Velkarons, other species started to believe they could win too. This was the news Hyun-woo had been hoping for. Humans were tough, but they couldn't fight the entire galaxy alone. Are any of these rebels willing to coordinate with us? Some are. I've made contact with resistance leaders on 3 worlds. They want to know if we're serious about destroying the Velkaran Empire. Tell them yes. While Yujin was building alliances, Colonel Taemin was learning the true cost of war. The liberation of New Geneva had been successful, but the aliens had fought back with terrible brutality. When Taemin's forces recaptured the capital city, they found evidence of mass executions. They killed anyone who helped the resistance, reported Gang Hee, the mining engineer who had become a resistance leader. Thousands of civilians. Taemin looked at the mass graves and felt his anger turn cold and hard. He had been a professional soldier for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. How many other worlds have they done this to? All of them, Gang Hee said quietly. Every world that resisted. This is what they call pacification. Taemin sent the evidence back to Earth immediately. When the footage reached the human government, it ended any remaining debate about the war. Secretary Jin-Ho Lee addressed the world that evening. The aliens told us they wanted peace, but peace to them means the silence of the grave. We will not negotiate with genocidal murderers. The message was broadcast to every human ship and colony. Now everyone understood that this war could only end one way, with the complete destruction of the Velkaran Empire. Captain So-Young Kim was coordinating psychological warfare from her captured alien ship. Her team had been broadcasting evidence of Velkaran atrocities to every species in the galaxy. The response is incredible, reported her communications officer, Specialist Jun-Ho. We're getting messages from rebel groups on dozens of worlds. Any military support? Some. The Altarians have a small fleet hiding in the Outer Rim. The Centauri dolphins have been sabotaging Velkaran underwater facilities for months. So, Young smiled. Humans weren't the only species that hated bullies, but the most important intelligence came from an unexpected source. Morketh, the captured Velkaran admiral. During his interrogation, the alien had revealed something crucial. The homeworld's defenses are minimal, he had said. Velthara moved most of our fleets to human space. She believes your species is the only real threat. Admiral Hyun-woo called an emergency meeting with his senior staff. We have a window of opportunity. Most of their military is here, fighting us. Their homeworld is vulnerable. How vulnerable? Asked Commander Eun-ji Nam. According to our intelligence, maybe 50 ships defending their capital system. We could attack with 300 ships and have numerical superiority. That's still most of our fleet, pointed out Captain Dong-hyun. If we fail, Earth will be defenseless. If we don't try, Earth will be destroyed anyway, Hyun-woo replied. They're bringing in more ships every day. Eventually, they'll overwhelm us through sheer numbers. Dr. Min-hee had been working on the technical details. The hyperspace route is dangerous but navigable. Our pilots can handle it if we modify our navigation systems. How long would the mission take? 2 weeks to reach their homeworld. Maybe 3 days for the battle. 2 weeks to get back. A month total. Can our defenses hold here for a month? With the help of our new allies, yes, said So-Young. The rebel fleets can harass Velkaran supply lines while we're gone. The decision was made. Humanity would attempt the impossible, a direct attack on the capital of a galactic empire. But first, they had to get there alive. Yujin, Hyun-woo said to the captain of the Shadow, I have a special mission for you. I need you to scout the route to Velkaran Prime. Find us a path through those gravity storms. Yes, sir. When do I leave? Tonight. And Yujin? If you don't, make it back. We'll name a star after you. Thank you, sir, but I'd prefer to come back and see it myself. As Yujin's ship disappeared into hyperspace, Hyun-woo looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was an alien world that had never been threatened by an enemy fleet. That was about to change. The Velkarans had started this war because they thought humans would be easy to defeat. They had believed that superior technology and numbers would be enough. They were about to learn that humans had something more valuable than technology, the willingness to risk everything for freedom, and that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Captain Yujin Bei had been through dangerous missions before, but nothing like this. Her ship, the Shadow, was racing through a hyperspace route that no sane pilot would attempt. "Captain, gravity readings are off the charts," reported her navigator, Lieutenant Min-Ki Han. "The black holes are pulling us in 3 different directions." "Stay calm," Yujin said, though her hands were shaking on the controls. "Think of it like flying through a hurricane. Find the eye of the storm." Around them, space itself was twisted into impossible shapes. The gravity from 3 collapsed star systems created a maze of deadly forces. One wrong move would tear their ship apart. But Yujin had grown up flying cargo ships through asteroid storms. She knew how to read dangerous space. "There," she said, pointing at her screens. "That corridor looks stable. Take us through." For 6 hours, they navigated the gravity maze. When they finally emerged on the other side, Min-Ki was pale and sweating. "Captain, I never want to do that again. You won't have to, but 300 human ships will." They had reached the edge of the Velkaran system. Yujin activated her ship's advanced sensors and began scanning for defenses. What she found shocked her. "Min-Ki, are you seeing this?" "Yes, Captain. Only 47 ships defending the entire system. This has to be a trap." But it wasn't a trap. It was arrogance. The Velkarans had ruled the galaxy for so long that they couldn't imagine anyone attacking their homeworld. Most of their fleet was fighting humans in Earth's system or putting down rebellions on other worlds. Yujin spent 3 days mapping the system's defenses. Then she made the dangerous journey back through the gravity storms to report to Admiral Hyun-woo. "It's real," she told him. "Their homeworld is practically undefended." Meanwhile, the human fleet was preparing for the most audacious military operation in history. Captain Dong-Hyun Shin was working with his Marines to develop boarding tactics for Velkaran ships. "Remember, these aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but they're not used to close combat. Use your speed and intelligence." Sergeant Bo-Ra Kim raised her hand. "Sir, what if they surrender?" "Then we accept it. But don't expect mercy from them. We've seen what they do to prisoners." Dr. Min-hee was making final modifications to the navigation systems. "Each ship needs to follow the exact path that Yujin mapped out. 1 degree off course and you'll be torn apart by gravity." "What about communication during the journey?" asked Communications Officer Jae-hyun. "Oh, impossible. The gravity storms will block all signals. Each ship captain will have to navigate independently." This was the most frightening part of the plan. 300 ships would enter the maze, but there was no guarantee they would all emerge together. Admiral Hyun-woo addressed the fleet before departure. His image appeared on screens throughout the human battle group. "We're about to attempt something that has never been done before," he said. "We're going to attack the heart of an empire that has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. He paused, looking at the faces of his crews. These were ordinary people who had been forced to become warriors. The aliens started this war because they thought we would be easy to conquer. They thought humans would surrender rather than fight. Today, we're going to show them how wrong they were. Each of you volunteered for this mission, knowing you might not come home. Your families know it too. They're proud of you, and so am I. When we reach Velkaran Prime, remember what we're fighting for. We're not just defending human colonies. We're fighting for every species that has been enslaved by the Velkaran Empire. We're fighting for the right of all people to live free." "Good luck, and see you on the other side." The human fleet entered hyperspace in small groups. 300 ships disappeared into the gravity storms, following the narrow path that Yujin had discovered. For Admiral Hyun-woo, the journey was a nightmare of uncertainty. His ship twisted and turned through the maze of warped space. Sometimes he could see other human vessels nearby. Sometimes he was alone in the twisted darkness. 2 ships were lost during the passage. The destroyer Seoul and the cruiser Busan made navigation errors and were crushed by gravitational forces. 600 brave souls died in the storms. But the rest of the fleet emerged at Velcaran Prime exactly when planned. The aliens were completely unprepared. "Unknown ships detected," screamed the Velcaran Defense Coordinator. 300 vessels of unknown design. Supreme Commander Velthara was on Velcaran Prime, coordinating the war effort. When she heard the report, she couldn't believe it. Impossible. No one knows the location of our homeworld. Commander, they're human ships. Velthara felt ice in her blood. The primitive species had somehow found and attacked the most secure location in the galaxy. "All available ships defend the homeworld. Send word to our fleets in human space. Tell them to return immediately." But it would take days for reinforcements to arrive. The human fleet was here now. Admiral Hyun-woo looked at the blue-green world below. Velcaran Prime was beautiful, with white cities and peaceful oceans. It looked nothing like the evil empire's capital. "All ships, begin the attack," he ordered. "Primary targets are orbital defenses and government facilities. Avoid civilian areas when possible." The battle began with shocking violence. The Velcaran defenders were good fighters, but they were outnumbered 6-1. Human ships attacked from every direction, using the same chaotic tactics that had worked so well in their home system. Captain Yujin led a squadron of fast attack ships against the orbital weapons platforms. "Remember, hit fast and keep moving. Don't give them time to target you." Captain Dong-hyun commanded the assault on the main Velcaran fleet base. His Marines boarded enemy ships while they were still fighting, capturing vital intelligence and prisoners. But the most important target was the planetary communications center. If the humans could capture it, they could broadcast to the entire galaxy. That mission fell to Colonel Tae-min and his special forces. "Gang Hee, are you sure you want to do this?" Tae-min asked the former mining engineer who had insisted on joining the mission. "Those aliens destroyed my home and killed my friends," she replied. "I want to be there when their empire falls." Tae-min's team landed near the communications center under heavy fire. The building was defended by Velcaran elite guards, but humans had learned to fight dirty. They used explosives made from captured alien technology. They attacked from unexpected directions. They used the aliens' own honor code against them. The Velcarans expected enemies to fight fairly. Humans preferred to win. Within 6 hours, the communications center was in human hands. Dr. Min-hee had prepared a special broadcast for this moment. Using evidence gathered from captured worlds, she transmitted the truth about the Velcaran Empire to every species in the galaxy, images of mass graves, records of destroyed civilizations, proof that the Empire's peace was built on genocide. The broadcast ended with a simple message. The Velcaran Empire is not invincible. If humans can reach their homeworld, so can you. Rise up. Fight for your freedom. Across the galaxy, rebellions exploded on 100 worlds. Supreme Commander Velthara watched her empire crumble from her command bunker. The humans had done more than attack her homeworld. They had destroyed the myth of Velcaran invincibility. "Commander, human forces are approaching the capital city," reported her aide. "How many?" "All of them." Velthara made a decision that would have been unthinkable just hours before. She opened a communication channel to the human fleet. "I wish to negotiate," she said. Admiral Hyun-woo's response was swift and brutal. "You had your chance to negotiate. That was 3 months ago, when you offered us slavery and called it peace. Now you face the consequences of your choice. But surely we can reach some agreement. The only agreement I'm interested in is your unconditional surrender." For the first time in her life, Velthara understood what it felt like to be powerless. The war was ending, but not the way anyone had expected. The Velcaran Empire died not with a great battle, but with a whimper. Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the former Velcaran flagship, now renamed Liberation. Through the viewports, he could see refugee ships fleeing Velcaran Prime. The alien civilians were running from their own homeworld, terrified of human revenge. "Sir, Supreme Commander Velthara is requesting permission to speak with you," reported Lieutenant Eun-ji Nam. "Put her through." The screen showed the once proud alien leader. Her yellow eyes were dull with defeat, and her armor was cracked and dirty. "Admiral, I formally surrender all Velcaran forces to human command." "Unconditional surrender?" "Yes. We cannot continue this war." Hyun-woo nodded. "Your surviving ships will be escorted to designated areas. Your weapons will be surrendered. Your leaders will face trial for crimes against sentient species. And our people will be treated better than you treated your victims. The transmission ended. Around the galaxy, Velcaran forces were laying down their weapons. Some fought to the end, but most simply gave up when they learned their homeworld had fallen. Secretary Jin-Ho Lee addressed the human government from Earth. The war is over. Humanity has achieved total victory over the Velcaran Empire. But even as he spoke, Jin-Ho knew the real work was just beginning. An empire that had ruled for 1,000 years had collapsed in less than 6 months. Someone had to fill the vacuum. Dr. Min-Hee Choi was working with newly freed alien species to establish communication protocols. Her laboratory had become a meeting place for representatives from dozens of worlds. The important thing, she told a gathering of alien diplomats, is that humanity doesn't want to rule you. We want you to rule yourselves. A crystalline Zephyrite named Quinthara spoke up. But without the Velcaran Empire, who will maintain order? Who will settle disputes between species? You will, Min-Hee said simply. We'll help if you ask us to, but the decision is yours. This was a radical idea to species that had lived under imperial rule for centuries. Freedom was a concept they had almost forgotten. Captain So-Young Kim had been appointed as humanity's first galactic ambassador. Her job was to build relationships with the liberated species and prevent new empires from forming. Some of the former Velcaran worlds want to join together in a federation, she reported to Admiral Hyun-woo. Others want complete independence. A few are asking if they can become human colonies. What did you tell them? That they're free to choose whatever government they want as long as they don't try to conquer their neighbors. And if they do, then they'll meet the same fate as the Velcarans. The message was spreading throughout the galaxy. Humanity would not tolerate new empires. Species could govern themselves however they wished, but slavery and genocide were no longer acceptable. Captain Yujin Bei had been given command of the new Galactic Defense Force. Her job was to make sure that no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction. We're not the galaxy's police, she told her mixed crew of humans and aliens. We're the galaxy's immune system. We only act when someone threatens the freedom of others. Her flagship, the Liberator, carried crews from 12 different species. They had volunteered to serve under human command because they trusted humanity's commitment to freedom. Colonel Tae Min-jung was overseeing the difficult process of rebuilding worlds that had been devastated by Velcaran rule. Some planets had been strip-mined. Others had been turned into slave camps. A few had been completely depopulated. It's going to take generations to fix this damage, he told Gang Hee, who had become his partner in the reconstruction efforts. Then we'd better get started, she replied. Taemin smiled. Gang Hee had lost everything to the Velcarans, but she hadn't lost hope. That was the kind of spirit that would rebuild the galaxy. Captain Dong-hyun Shin was leading the trials of Velcaran, war criminals. The process was slow and careful because humans were determined to be better than their enemies. Every Velcaran leader will face justice, he announced to the galactic media, but we will follow the rule of law. We will not become the monsters we fought against. Some humans wanted revenge. They had lost family and friends to Velcaran brutality, but humanity as a whole chose justice over vengeance. Supreme Commander Velthara was among those on trial. When she was brought before the court, she looked like a broken creature. Do you understand the charges against you? Asked the human judge. Yes, Velthara said quietly. Genocide, slavery, crimes against sentient life. How do you plead? Guilty. The admission shocked the courtroom. Velthara had decided to tell the truth about her empire's crimes. We told ourselves we were bringing order to chaos, she said. We believed that other species were too primitive to govern themselves. We were wrong. What changed your mind? Humans showed us what courage really looks like. You faced impossible odds and won through determination alone. You proved that freedom is worth any sacrifice. The trials continued for months. Some Velcaran leaders were executed for their crimes. Others were sentenced to life in prison. A few, like Velthara, were given the chance to help rebuild what they had destroyed. Admiral Hyun-woo returned to Earth as a hero, but he didn't feel like one. He had seen too much death and destruction during the war. Sir, the president wants To offer you any position in the government, Secretary Lee told him. Thank you, but I think I've done enough governing for one lifetime. What will you do now? Go home. Spend time with my daughter. Maybe teach her to fly. Hyun-woo's daughter was 10 years old now, and she still wanted to be a pilot like her father. But she would grow up in a galaxy where humans were respected, not hunted. The war had changed humanity forever. Before the Velkaran invasion, humans had been just another species exploring the galaxy. Now they were the guardians of galactic freedom. But with great power came great responsibility. Dr. Min-hee established the Institute for Galactic Studies, where young humans and aliens would learn to work together. The goal was to prevent another empire from rising through ignorance and fear. The Velkarans weren't evil, she told her first class of students. They were afraid. They saw diversity as chaos and tried to impose order through force. We must never make the same mistake. One of her students, a young human named Jae-sung, raised his hand. Dr. Choi, what if other species ask us to rule them? Then we must say no. The moment we start thinking we know what's best for other people, we become the very thing we fought against. Years passed. The galaxy slowly healed from the wounds of the Velkaran Empire. New alliances formed between species that had been enemies for centuries. Trade routes opened between distant worlds. Art and culture flowed freely across the stars. And at the center of it all was humanity, not as rulers, but as protectors. Captain, so young, now an admiral, often met with species leaders who asked the same question. Why don't humans want to rule the galaxy? You have the power. Her answer was always the same. Because power corrupts. The moment we start believing we have the right to rule others, we'll become the next empire that someone has to destroy. The human way of war had shocked the galaxy, but the human way of peace was even more revolutionary. On a quiet evening, Admiral Hyun-woo sat on his porch watching the stars. His daughter, now a pilot in the Galactic Defense Force, had called to tell him about her latest mission. Dad, we helped negotiate a peace treaty between two species that have been fighting for 300 years. How did you do it? We reminded them that they both have children who deserve a future. Hyun-woo smiled. That was the real victory. Not the destruction of the Velkaran Empire, but the creation of a galaxy where children could grow up free. The aliens had thought humanity would negotiate when threatened with extinction. They had been wrong about that, but they had been even more wrong about what would happen after humans won. Instead of becoming conquerors, humans had become liberators. Instead of creating an empire, they had created hope. And that, more than any military victory, was why the galaxy would remember humanity forever.